You have decided to declare a dividend of 2 cents per share. What led to that?
I think all round in the business, we've seen far better trading conditions over the last 6 months of the last calendar year, the first 6 months of our financial year, as opposed to the first 6 months of 2009. That translated into an increase in our margins, although revenue was slightly down. EBITDA increased about 5% as a percentage of revenue over the figure published in period ending June 2009. And then just working capital management throughout the business ensured that we had the cash, and we feel pretty confident about the future.
If one looks at headline earnings per share, it's at 8 but a bit lower to the corresponding period of 8.6 cents. What can investors expect for the next 6 months?
I think just to put it into context, 8.31 cents as opposed to 8.6 for the period December 2008. If we, however, the full year for June 2009, the figure that was presented was 9.3 cents for the full year. So we're already sitting over 70% of the full year's earnings declared last year. As far as the second half is concerned, Accentuate's pretty confident, cautiously optimistic about where we're standing. I think if I could just break it into the 3 divisions. If we look at the flooring business, there's a number of projects. Government has deferred a number of their infrastructure spend projects, and that will be a function of really how government spends, but we're cautiously optimistic. On the glass and aluminium business for the rest of the year, and the chemical business has been restructured and is really positioning itself on annuity business, and that's a business that's just ticking over and hopefully will give us the good returns as we go along.
I see your order book for your glass and aluminium division is practically 100%. Given, well, consumers are still under pressure, how did you manage this?
I think that tough times require management to get involved in a business. We accept our responsibility, and when we put out our results in half year or in full year in June 2009, we indicated to the market that we understood where the problems were and we'd be working hard on those. And then the business is still out there, it's just a bit more difficult to get hold of sometimes.
All right, and if you look at your flooring business, you really rely on government, and government takes forever to pay sometimes. How has it affected your business?
Well, it affects our business indirectly, in that we deliver to government through the contractors. So we would specify the floor, we'd work with government on the specification, and then the contractor would deliver. If the contractor doesn't get paid, then we end up putting the contractor on credit hold, and that unfortunately impacts on our ability to roll out government infrastructure projects. So the major problem at this point in time, I think, is twofold. Where the government is going to channel the money back into infrastructure, and that's the area of health, education, and transport infrastructure. If that is the case, if they're going to pay the contractors, we're going to have a wonderful 6 months.
All right. And NERSA has, has granted Eskom that 24.8% increase in electricity tariffs. What impact will that have on your business?
I think if we look at the various businesses, the flooring business is quite susceptible to energy increase in pricing. Energy amounts to about 8% of the total manufactured cost of our floor. A 25% increase or 24.8% increase translates into an additional 2% in terms of cost. So we would have to manage that process quite closely. And unfortunately, that same increase does not apply to all the other companies in the market that are generally importers. We are local manufacturers.
And if we wrap it up, what are your growth prospects for the group in 2010?
We as a company have always outlined that we are ambitious, that we've positioned ourselves for sustainable growth, and hopefully the market will see that. There are a number of acquisitory opportunities at the moment. Obviously, we have to weigh that up against the cost of debt and the cost of equity, and when the time is right, we will make the necessary announcements.
Thank you so much for joining us, Fred.